So hello all, I'm founder in core outside the core, and today we will discuss an overview that I made for you specifically in core of the competences that you need as an entrepreneur, and specifically in biotech, life science, and the likes. So it consists of some points: knowledge and science. So you need to have the knowledge of your invitation and about the science, but I will not go into all the depths. Yeah, I just give you the header. So one is knowledge and science, two is communication, so that you're able to convey that message. Three is collaboration and partnership, so you can do it together. Four is strategy and planning, so you strategize where you're going and you plan towards that and monitor that. Fifth is for many business the most important is entrepreneurship. You have the vision and mission, and you're going to get there with a calculated risk. Six will be organizations and the sensitivity thereof, so also for other organizations. And seventh, social responsibility. And eight is, that's another other point, always focus on money in. And why is that? Because if you're not getting money in now at this moment or on the longer time frame, in the bigger picture, you're not an entrepreneur. Founder in car, out. So this is in the BioTech Entrepreneur Series. So we will cover multiple areas that are needed, competences that are needed to be successful in biotechnology. And one of those competences is science and knowledge thereof. And why is that of importance? Because you need this. There we go. To make it in this field, you have biotechnology, and you need to make that work. So you need to know yourself, or at least one person in your team needs to know how to make this work, and also to see what is needed. So for example, if it's a medical application, you need to know the science behind it. You also need to know what is needed in its field, regulations, standard operating procedures are there in place. And those things will really help you ahead, because you know the field, you know the value of the innovation that's lying in front of you, or you can have a good gut feeling about the value, even if you don't know it straight away, because some things are so disruptive that they are hard to compare with other things. But you know the field, you know the needs of the field. So if you know the needs, you will know what it will imply if those needs are met. And that's very, very important to make your biotech, MedTech innovation work. Someone is halting traffic here. And there are many competences that are beneficial. And the thing is, if you have synergy in your team, one person knows one thing, the other person knows each other, and they will have some cross contamination, which in this case is good, because all parties of the team will get it to the top level. They will understand it, but they will also know if the questions go deeper or the information need is much more intense, that they will involve the expert in that field. Hope this helps. Founder in car, out. So hello everyone, this is take 2 in a series for what is really needed, what are the competences really needed for a successful entrepreneur. And the main focus here is biotechnology, MedTech, life sciences companies, but a lot of these things are also of very high importance in other businesses. So without further ado, let's dive into this. So first first topic was about science and the things, the knowledge you need in association thereof. But today we are going to talk about communication. And communication is very important. So you need to know how to listen, so you get the right information in your system. That's very high importance, and therefore you can also show that you understood. So you have a conversation, you will summarize it in your own words and will then ask confirmation if you understood it correctly. That will help in the bonding in this case. But another important thing is that of course you also need to convey your message. So what is important in your innovation? What do you have to offer? Why is it needed? So you need to reduce oftentimes a high complexity system to its essence. And there is a saying also in German, durch der Beschränkung zeigt sich der Meister, or durch die Beschränkung zeigt sich der Meister, which translates in by making it more simple and reducing, so leaving out the parts that are non-essential, you will show that you mastered your craft. That's important because people are like plants, and of course plants will thrive when they are watered, but if you give too much water you will not only flush down the entire plant and the growing of that plant, but also you will flush down the nutrients that you really need for this interaction to happen. So you need to give them just enough and also keep them informed. So when I say just enough, you need to give them the essentials that they need to know at this moment to understand the message that you want to convey at that moment. And of course you can also show them a little bit more, but it depends on the situation there. And for that purpose you need to know how to communicate, also get the players around the table, so that you know if you are communicating, that you are communicating with someone who can make the decisions, because there is something that can happen. If you are communicating very effectively, but you're communicating at the wrong level, the level that's not able to make the differences, you will put a lot of time and effort in, but you will reach very little. So that you still need to go through different layers. And of course sometimes this will help, and it can also be that if you try to talk to the decision makers, that they say we need to first to have to go from this science or this technical expert, so you need to go then to those layers. But oftentimes you need to know, do I have the right persons around the table, so that the message that I try to bring across will not only land, but will also result in what you want, the goal, the action, the interaction, the partnership, whatever you want. And you also need to master different tools. So you need to know how to communicate in wording, in face-to-face sessions, by telephone, by email, but also communicate on congresses if needed, communicate with those that handle the agenda of the decision maker, also very important. Oftentimes this is an office manager, a personal assistant or secretary. But also you need to communicate with investors to keep them all aboard. And the message, there is a core message that will be the red layer, or in Netherlands we say the rode draad. So that will be the connecting line in all your communication. But the way you address it and the way that you tailor your communication might be quite different. So therefore it's also very important that you need to know the modern ways of communicating and also excel at that. For example, sometimes a spreadsheet can work very well. You can also work them through all the scenarios and just fill in the numbers that they want and see what pops up. It's very iterative and very nice. But also PowerPoint. PowerPoint is a very impressive tool because you have a very nice way to present your data. You can either have a PowerPoint, and I would always advise it and present it, then send a PDF version of that afterwards. Or sometimes it is used as a deck that is already shared to get them around the table, and then they go into the depth of your slides and ask the question what they are missing, what they still need to get elucidated, so your light needs to shine there so that they can see in the darkness. That's a very important way to convey a message. You can very easily also from PowerPoint extract pictures. A slide can be converted to a picture or a PDF or whatever. Very, very important too, in my opinion. But also in communication, you need to know the other modern way. Sometimes Facebook groups, LinkedIn can be a good tool to address your public, but also a weblog, your own website, of course, your web shop. A blog can help people to give your innovation a face, and also your website. We have a website for the product, which is directed to the customers. Whereas if you have a website of your company, which is often more directed at investors, it's also a different way of approaching the same material, of course. So please keep that in mind, and also master these traits. And if you are not good at it yourself, make sure that someone in your team, someone in your entrepreneurial team is. So then you have synergy in your team. And of course, it's my personal opinion that everyone in your team needs to be able to convey the message and communicate it in a clear way. But some will excel, and some will just make it the baseline. And you should use the soldiers, your own soldiers in your company. If that soldier is specialized in communicating, please let that person do the communication, or at least a great deal of the communication. Therefore, your innovation and your business will thrive, because without communication you don't have means to get your message across. And that's very important, of course. Another thing to consider is practice makes perfect. So the more times you do it, it's like a muscle, it will become better, it will become more natural. You have the different viewpoints also from earlier sessions, earlier questions that popped up and the answers that you gave them. That makes you well seasoned. It's the same like the elevator pitch. So you have to tell your message across in sometimes 1 minute or 30 seconds. So in 1 or 2 sentences you can bring your message across. That brings me back to the first time. I mentioned, durch die Beschränkung zeigt sich der Meister. So to make it simple, short, to the point, but let it snap. And that snap should be something that triggers them. So you should bring across what makes you different, what's so unique about this. That's of great importance. Well, hope this short video helps. Founder in Car, out. Hello, welcome to this Founder in Car, and this is part of the series of entrepreneurships. What attributes do you need for yourself as an entrepreneur, or to have at least in your team? And today we will talk about topic 3, collaborations and partnerships. So why is this important? In life you're not an independent player. You need to have partnerships for your suppliers, your clients, but also partnerships more on strategic level, which can have financial backgrounds, or can be your lab. For example, you could be a strategic partner with your lab, and they offer you the insights and qualities that you need to really make a fist and make the difference. And it might very well be that even without these partnerships you can manage and be an effective player, but you will be much more effective with these partnerships and collaborations. So what should you strive for in a partnership? You should try to stimulate your partner and you to really look at and search for common goals. And those common goals you would need to get back on top of their mind oftentimes to get to that common goal together. And a common goal is a win-win situation for both parties. That's it. And there are often common goals to be found because you need to progress your business, and oftentimes, especially if you are a partner, your common goals align to a degree, and stimulate that. And how should you get to those common goals? You should strive for an atmosphere of mutual trust, so that you trust each other, and mutual respect. And if you can manage to do those three things, you will have an effective partnership. Just very easily. Another thing that's very important to make and maintain partnerships and also let them thrive is that you need to build and maintain your network. So you need to be a networker, so you will be open for potential partners, but also for the partners that you have, to connect them. Even if it's not within your mutual goal, you will help them out. And by doing so, you will also make your partner more reactive to you, more receptive for your needs, and also perhaps looking out for your interests. And that's the thing you want to address, of course. So that's it in a nutshell. Hope this helps. The other thing is, if you need to negotiate, and that's oftentimes also in partnerships, you need to look for what are the things that the partner wants, what are the things that you want, and if you know them, you need to strive for those win-win situations, and by doing so you will put all the cards on the table, of course, but also you will get to a partnership that will really help you. And that was the last thing I wanted to add to that. Founder in car, out. One more thing. This was a video in my series especially for LifeSciences, MedTech, BioTech and the likes. But it's also very useful because communication, partnerships, they are universal. So therefore I did not initiate that. But please keep in mind, these are the things you really need. But also as a life science, MedTech, BioTech entrepreneur. And why is it very important for that? Because the complexity in BioTech, etc. is so much higher that partnerships are even of higher importance. That's it. Out. Done. So founder in car. This is of the entrepreneurship qualities series. This is number 4. And this video will be about strategy and planning. So strategy is seeing the bigger picture, and planning will help to enable that. So by seeing the bigger picture, you have a mission, you have a vision, and if you don't have it, you will develop it. You will set goals and you will adjust where needed. And planning helps to see if you are reaching that goals in a timely manner, in a manner that you anticipated, but also helps you see if something is different than you thought of before. So you have to perhaps alter your strategy. Another thing about strategy is that you anticipate what is happening. You're not only looking at the current situation, but you will look forward to where you are going, where you want to be going. And you adjust accordingly. So you also have the staff in place, and you will educate the staff, you will take them with you to achieve the goals that you set, and you will also communicate very well with them so you understand what is happening there. That's of great importance, and it should be of importance to all the entrepreneurs, in my opinion. But even if you are not good at this, get someone in your team that is, so that your operations, but more importantly your business strategy, gets executed the way it should. It can be monitored, and if it's not working, or if it's working very well, you can adjust. You can reach the time points that you need, and you can also alter that. And with that in place, it's one of the most important tools that you should have as an entrepreneur. This video is part of a series that I made for LifeSciences, biology derived spin-offs, but also BioTech, MedTech, you name it. That's the primary focus. But strategy and planning is universal. In each discipline you need this. So please take time for this, and by doing so, making time for it now, you will have time when you need it. And you will anticipate, you will know the trends, you will also know what is needed to set a new trend, because you have the strategy in place and you will alter it if needed, but you try to completely finish it. Don't step in a trap that you think, I will constantly alter my strategy. This is for multiple reasons not good. One of the reasons is very hard to get also your team involved. If you're a single player, you might get away from with it. Also for your team, they don't see you as a leader because you see you're one day saying one thing and the other day the other thing. And 3, also for the monitoring, the dashboard that you need to develop to monitor it and to adjust and tweak on it. It's also not a good thing to do it. But that being said, have your strategy, follow through, keep monitoring, and if really needed, of course, also adjust accordingly. Hope this helps. Founder in Car out. So welcome in Founder in Car, this entrepreneurship series. What are the qualities that you really need as an entrepreneur, either by yourself or your team? And this will be 5. This quality is entrepreneurship. And it was directed primarily at life science, MedTech, BioTech companies. Otherwise, entrepreneurship would be my number 1 pick. So, entrepreneurship. This is someone who sees the bigger picture, like a strategic level, but also knows how to act independently and get there. They have a vision, they take risks. Entrepreneurs take risks, calculated risks, I would say. Everyone takes risks, but an entrepreneur will be less risk averse than the majority of people. And oftentimes an entrepreneur is taking risks, quite high risk, but he also has a risk-reward ratio in his head. So they are still calculated. There's another guy coming in. Another type of entrepreneur, I can guess. This is Suzuki Swift Sports. So there is Cap, and then there's the Urus. Okay, just getting back on the topic. An entrepreneur has his goals and he will achieve those goals. No matter what. Oftentimes no matter what. And why is that? Because there will be a lot of adversity, will be a lot of risk to mitigate, hurdles to take, but an entrepreneur keeps pushing forwards to reach the goal. And he will also be an inspiring mentor to those around him, to sell the dream, get them excited, and get things done. So an entrepreneur also combines a lot of the earlier things like communication, strategy, and also expertise. An entrepreneur, you can be very entrepreneurial but without expertise, but you need at least a base level. And I would recommend that you get very good at what you do. Even if it's not your core, you have a different background. For example, you're more in sales or economy background, but you want to make the difference in life science, you also need to understand what we are talking about. And why is that important? Of course, to see how you can reach your goals by understanding that, but also conveying the message accordingly and getting all the people excited. Because you also need the other team members. If you're not doing it all by yourself, so you need the scientists to be stimulated, you need the communication experts also to be there, the strategy and planning experts to really make it happen. And all those disciplines together will make your venture, your entrepreneurial baby, so to say. Incorporate a dream, a reality. And that's the core of everything. Looking to the goals, making calculated risks, being out there, taking action, work also on your own, have your vision and mission very clearly. This is also part of strategy, but it should be part of an entrepreneur as well. And act accordingly. Get everyone excited about what you think makes all the difference. Your goals will be aligned with the others, and that will make the power of your entrepreneurial spirit so much more effective. Hope this helps. Founder in Car, out. Founder in Car, this is the entrepreneurship series. So what qualities do you really need as an entrepreneur? And today we will talk about number 6. So this is organizational wit and sensitivity. So organizations are how everything is working at the moment. It's like the rotaries in a system that work together to achieve the goals. And as an entrepreneur, you want to add value. You want to add value to your customers, for example, patients. And you need to know your own organization. You also need to have, for example, medical affairs in place. You need to know why that is of importance. But also your sensitivity is a little bit different. Also the other organization that you are collaborating with, for example, a clinic, you need to know the formal and informal rules of the organization. How does it work? Where do I need to push or pull to make this happen? So decision making, but also execution might be on completely different levels. So you need to know where to make the difference, where to add your value, to make your promise, your benefit, your promise that you sell happen. That's of great importance because as an entrepreneur, as I mentioned, you want to add value, and by knowing how to and where you can maximize added value that you can deliver. Also, because you know how the informal and formal rules go. An example, you don't have access formally to the decision maker you need to have access to. But if you know the informal route, you might still be able to get your message across. And perhaps that is not the optimal way, but you already have them sensitized. And then at a later stage, you understand how you can make this happen there. You can also, through your organization, if you know your organization, and you also need to know the interaction that they have with other organizations. So for example, at the execution level, there might already be overlap with the two companies or the two organizations, and then you can help plant that seeds, the seeds that you need, and then you can have a bottom-up approach that it also trickles through the top layers where the decision is made. So if you know that overlap, you can also instruct your team, those members that have that overlap, to act accordingly, and thereby you and your team of entrepreneurs make things happen. Also, if you start as an entrepreneur, you might be alone, but your team will grow across the developments that you make, the journey that you're chasing to get to your goal. Your team will normally grow, and therefore also your organizational structure becomes of more and more importance. Also, the structure will be of importance for an investor, for another partner, or to optimize things. So the structure is very important also for your operations. Operation level, personal level, but also on the level of your employees, fellow partners, entrepreneurs, etc. You need to have this sensitivity for the organizational structure. Hope this helps. Founder in Car, out. So another Founder in Car. This is in the a series of entrepreneurship qualities what you really need to make it successful. And now we are at the last one, 7. And this is responsibility, especially social responsibility, but it's a little bit wider than that. And why is this of importance? If you act as if the benefits of your client or your benefits, you feel that also as that, you will have a product that is as good as possible, also customer service as good as possible, and that will add to the quality feeling of your product, and therefore your product will be in higher demand, will be enjoyed a lot more, and therefore also sold a lot more. You also have the patients and other partners that you work together with selling the product for you, mouth to mouth. Their own experience are very positive, and that's a very good thing. Other things is you want to do things the right way. So you have responsibility, you have ownerships of your actions, and you try to make them as good as possible. You also want to comply with regulations, you want to comply with standard operating procedures if they work well. If they are not working well, you have someone, at least someone in your team, being an entrepreneur that will disrupt and will try to make it better, innovate again. That's a good thing. But this responsibility and also ownership that will exert quality, trust, respect and reliability to all those involved with you and your entrepreneurial activities, but also perhaps in social life. You will also have a heart for your society, for your patient groups, and you will offer added value, not only for your products, but also because you really genuinely care about the patient that you want to get the solution for. It could be that you have a completely different group that you're addressing, but still you need to have affinity with that group, and you need to have this drive to make it as good as possible. Best quality, what would you like? Best service, what would you like if you were in that place? Of course, sometimes economics of things are very important, and they might give it a different snap, but that's very, very high importance. So these were the 7 parts that you really need as an entrepreneur, but I will add an 8, and that will be my next video. Ciao, Founder in Car out. So, Founder in Car, and I already closed the entrepreneurial quality series, but I added an 8th one, and the last one is very much of course, in my opinion. So this series was specifically directed at LifeSciences, BioTech, MedTech, startups, etc. companies, and it might imply a little bit less for those, but a general rule is this, and I want to add that to you. You need to focus on money in and not on money out. And what do I imply with that? Focus on all activities that will get money into your business, because you're only an entrepreneur when your business is making money. That's my opinion. So it could be that you're delaying that, and in the end it will get a lot more money in. Of course, this can very well be the case. Also Tesla did this a long time, but still focus on things that get you money and how to achieve it, what to prioritize, and not on things that are costing you money. So a lot of things will help you as an entrepreneur. For example, nice office, stocks that you can send out to your customers, and all the other things, legal entities, structures, etc., etc. But all those things will first cost you money. So as long as you're not getting money in, try to minimize those things. Do them as good as possible for a limited budget. So on a tight budget, on the things that are really adding value, you can make an exception. But oftentimes focusing on money in instead of focusing on things that cost you and money out is very wise advice. And if you keep that in mind, you will also know that you need to go fast. Speed is everything. If you're able to do things a lot faster, it will also cost you a lot less money, and you will get fast to the money coming in again. So those things work together. Hope this helps. Found my car.